Hey, number ones, how good are you with definitions of words? Like, I mean, you are one of those walking dictionaries, if you will. If you are, then you might need to update a little bit the software. Well, there is a word we are looking for a definition of, and it's the word remigration. You'll see why in a second. So if we check out a few of the online, mostly used dictionaries in the world, we start with Oxford English Dictionaries, we are told. Oh, I need to sign in. Oh, goodness gracious. Never mind. Collins tells us in British English, remigration, I'm mispronouncing it, remigration, noun, the act or process of returning or migrating back to the place of origin. This is remigration, right? So immigration, remigration. So far, so good. Anyways, let's continue. What about Merriam-Webster? We're told remigration, the act of migrating again, especially the act of returning to one's original or previous home after a migration. And we got an example. One study of pre-1930 immigration showed the Jews and Irish were most likely to stay. A remigration rate of less than 1 in 8. That's what we're told. This is the meaning. Everything is clear. We can continue. I'll give you one more and then we'll get to the punchline. Anyway, University of Manitoba, I haven't got a clue what that is, but it tells us glossary definition term remigration. Remigration is a special type of out-migration or emigration in which an international immigrant or interprovincial migrant migrates to a place different than that of birth or last permanent residence. Man, you made it complicated anyways. I think we understand what remigration means. I mean, not that we actually needed the dictionary definitions, but you just want to be professional. So, remigration means you're an immigrant, you immigrate, and then you're sent back. That's remigration. Or is it? Punchline, it is not, ladies and gentlemen, at least according to Wikipedia. Because according to Wikipedia, remigration is a European far-right concept of ethnic cleansing via the master... I'm so tired of these people. Sorry, Wikipedia. Where were we? Remigration is a European far-right concept of ethnic cleansing via the mass deportation of non-white minority populations, especially immigrants, and sometimes including those born in Europe and holding European citizenship to their place of racial ancestry. Originating in Europe, the concept has spread to the United States and other countries, and it's popular especially within the identitarian movement. Some proponents of remigration suggest excluding some persons with non-European background from such a mass deportation based on a varyingly defined degree of assimilation into European culture. Ethnocultural homogeneity. And then they get this classical Latin, remigrare, to return home. Originally meant simply returning, later was applied to the voluntary return of an immigrant to their place of origin, and is still used as such in social science. Man, I should make an entire, not a video, an entire series of my opinion on the social sciences, particularly of its condition today within academic circles, meaning a clown show. Maybe I'll make a video about it, but for now. Identitarian movement, remigration is a core tenet of the identitarian movement. It is presented as a solution to the Great Replacement, a conspiracy theory which states that white people are being replaced through migration, violence, and high birth rates by people from Africa, Muslims in particular. If you don't believe that the Great Replacement theory is real, blame the Muslims, because there are a lot of them that when they do move to, for example, a Nordic country or any European country, you know what they say? They say, we will outbreed you because you guys are not breeding. You get like less than 1 child per household, whereas we got 8. So we will outbreed you, and in 30 years, this entire country will be Muslim. They say that. So how much can we blame people for believing what Christian-hating Muslims say they want to do? Blame them. They even present Italy. Lega Giovani, the youth wing of the right-wing populist Italian party Lega, advocated for immigration following violent incidents in January 2025 involving migrants in Como and Lombardy, and received support from the Lombardy regional leader of the party. Well, you know what? Here's what I think about remigration since we are discussing the topic. Here's what I think. I do believe that people should absolutely be deported if they come here illegally in general. So if someone is illegal, send them back. Nothing wrong with that. Likewise, if someone comes here legally, but they are terrorists, or whatever the heck, they are violent, they destroy property, they attack people, they grape children, send them back or put them in jail for the rest of their lives. I don't know. Which one do you prefer? Because here's the thing. If they break the law with illegal immigration, I've already made a lot of videos about my position on that, which is not my position. It's the position of every country on the planet, by the way, including all of the countries of the East, Africa, Middle East, everywhere. There is not a single country on this planet that tells you, yeah, free flow of people. No, we don't have borders. Just come in. Don't worry about it. No problem with legal passport. Don't even show me anything. Just come in, stay wherever you want, and it's great. No one does that. Everyone has immigration law. So it's absolutely ridiculous that they expect the West to be the one place where if you do say, look, illegal immigration is illegal, then, oh, you're a racist. Like, it's the stupidest thing on the planet. So I don't even know why and how we got to a point where a obvious tenet of our laws that has been a thing everywhere on the planet, the one thing that perhaps, regardless of our race, ethnicity, religion, and culture, we could have all agreed on, no, it has become an item of contention somehow. But regardless of that, setting illegal immigrants aside for a moment, if they're legal, but they end up being terrorists, what are the options? It's either you put them in jail for a very long time, or you send them back. Which one is it? Because the problem is, that what would you do then? If it's someone violent, as you see, the response from the Lega, I suppose, in Italy, I mean, I'm not familiar with that situation, but I imagine it's not just the Lega, I imagine Fratelli d'Italia, Forza Italia, whatever the heck, all the other right-wing parties probably agreed on this one. What is the correct response to someone who's showing violence, hatred, terrorism, SA, towards the local population and citizen, even religious extremism, like the guys in Bondi Beach, Australia, even though the government is denying it for obvious political reasons, but clearly it was a case of religious extremism. What do you do then? Do you just let them free? Do you let them do whatever they want? No one here is advocating for sending legals and citizens back to where they are from, or at least I am not. And if some people are, then no, legal immigrants who came here and they are assimilating, they are contributing, they are working, they don't hate us, they have no problems. Of course, I don't have a problem with them. But remigration is absolutely a thing that should be done for the people that are creating disruption, disorder, violence, for the protection of the citizens, because citizens should always be the priority of every country. Its own citizens, its local native population should be the priority of every country, whether it comes to obviously protection, wealth redistribution patterns, whether it comes to monetary support, whatever it is, unemployment resolution. Native population first, citizens first. I say as someone who still isn't a citizen, but absolutely I want the government in America, where I live, to give priority to an American citizen over me. 100%. I'm a guest. I'm a respectful guest, of course, but I am a guest nonetheless. If you're enjoying this video so far, please take a moment to check out my Patreon page. With as little as a $5 support, you can help us ensure that we can continue to produce high quality and high researched content. And at the same time, you get access to polls, extra videos, unlisted streams, and much more. Thank you so much. Thank you for visiting Oxford English Dictionary, I suppose. What does CNN say? DHS issued a call to re-immigrate. Here is the history of the term, often associated with far-right groups. Yeah, they're associating, as I demonstrated on my latest video on the nuclear family, which now is supposed to be a far-right concept. The family, a far-right concept. Merry Christmas, a far-right concept. Did you notice the shift that has happened? Now everything is being deemed to be far-right. Everything. That's what they're doing. Because once they label it like this, then they can start destroying it, which is what they want. They want to destroy our traditions, they want to destroy Christianity, they want to destroy the nuclear family, they want to destroy concepts such as immigration because they hate the local population. And that's the reality. A 9-letter social media post was all it took for the Department of Homeland Security to spark a torrent of backlash online this week, drawing the ire of politicians and prompting comparisons to Europe's far right. Well, to be honest, all they need to do is say one word they don't like to get all of this. Am I right, boys? Tuesday afternoon, the HS posted a declaration on X for immigrants to re-immigrate, threading a link to the agency's self-deportation app. Yeah, because they're talking about illegals, you clown. At first glance, the post could be seen as a straightforward reference to the Trump administration's long-standing immigration policies, which have called for immigrants to voluntarily self-deport back to their home countries. Once again, it's illegal immigrants. But experts who study and monitor extremism and the far right told CNN they'd urge caution when invoking the word, which has historic roots, including NAZI ideology and more recently a violent conspiracy theory that inspired terrorists attacking the US and abroad. Note how they will say this, but then they will deny or not even cover when it's an Islamic terrorist who does this, which, if you look at the statistical numbers, it's basically the number one reason for politically motivated and religiously or extremist motivated violence at a planetary level. So I would say the number one should be our focus, shouldn't it? Of course, political violence happens on all sides, but I would work with the numbers, and the numbers clearly show that the problem is radical Islam. So what are we going to do about it? Ignore it, because far right is bad. Word policing is what they're doing. They should be doing criminal policing. They should be making sure that people who have like 70 repeated arrests are not let go the 71st time so they can claim one more victim. That's what they should be doing. Instead, they're doing, this word is naughty. This word is a mean word. And once again, if you think that the problem is what's dangerous, the only problem, white supremacy is the problem. Is white supremacy causing people getting 11 years in jail for using the wrong word in the UK? I don't think so, sir. Subscribe. So while white supremacy, just like all forms of supremacy and inequality, may be definitely a problem that we should discuss, I put it 15th on the list of more important problems that we need to deal with, because they're actually either sending people who are innocent to jail simply for exercising their freedoms that our grandparents have fought for. Since you like to mention the Austrian painters fan club in Germany in the 1940s, how about we remember that one of the things that our ancestors, our grandparents have fought for during that war and sacrificed their best years of their lives in trench warfare, being bombed, doing all that kind of stuff that you are not doing, I'm not doing, was to preserve our freedoms, including our freedom of speech, which is being constantly attacked as if we have a resurgence of totalitarian thought practices. It's just that they are doing it differently now. In the 1930s, they were doing it more overtly. Now it's all covert. They will tell you, no, it's about multiculturalism and tolerance. But then they're doing the same thing. If you dare to say something we don't like, you end up in jail. So it's the same thing. It's the same thing as the fascist squads in fascist Italy. It's the same thing of what the SS was doing. And in Germany, it's the same stuff. Well, you think in the Kremlin you could have said Stalin is a monster? You think you could have done that? Or the KGB would have taken care of you, sent in a gulag if they don't shoot you on sight. But people don't know that, because people don't study history. They think, oh, communism, it's about war, warmth of heart, and everyone is loved. Literally, because that's what they're being told. Because this is what universities are teaching. Do remember when I made a video addressing that professor from university was an expert on communism and USSR Russia, and she was literally denying how bad gulags were. They were like, no, people actually enjoyed the gulags. I paraphrase, but that was the message. Man, when I covered it, it got so much backlash, they removed the damn episode, and I find that a win. Because it was misinformation. No, it was disinformation, which is different. Misinformation, just to give you, since we're talking about definition of words, misinformation is when it happens not on purpose. You push for a myth, you didn't do your research, you say something, you repeat it, and it goes out to misinform people, but it's not intentional. Disinformation, however, are absolutely intentional. They are done on purpose to disinform, usually for propagandistic reasons. That was a disinformation video, and I'm glad that they took it down. Not because I'm infringing towards the freedom of speech, but simply because freedom of speech is not freedom of consequences. When you say something, the only protection you gain is that you will avoid government intervention. That's how freedom of speech works. But if you state facts that are false, in fact, they're not facts, if you state falsehoods and then you get backlash for it, Great that you don't get protection from that. In fact, if you think about it, that's exactly what they're trying to do in places like the UK. They want to say whatever they want, and if you disagree, you'll be set in jail. So they don't get the consequences, and they can say whatever they want, so their speech is protected. But the speech and liberties of the individual, of the patriots in the United Kingdom, the native local populations in their land, their freedoms have been taken away, even though their very blood fought for that freedom in World War II. And I find that unacceptable. Unacceptable.